Welcome back, everybody, to the show. It is Friday. I hope you are doing well. We have so much to talk about. We start with something horrible, but in just a little bit, we have something very funny to talk about. So hold for that. Again, thank you all so much for joining live or listening back later on podcast platforms or in clip form. Let's begin with Jake Tapper reporting on this.
President Trump just posted on social media a hideously racist image of President and First Lady Obama. It came in the midst of a wild social media jag where the president was retruthing or truthing all sorts of stuff. It started last night at 10:26 p.m. and continued until midnight. There was a video of some deranged person confronting me at the Republican National Convention. I had my earbuds in, didn't hear what she had to say, but I guess President Trump thought that was newsworthy. There were some clips from CNN, ones that I guess he thinks are real and not fake because they suggest support for voter ID, a position he supports. But what was most disturbing, of course, was in the midst of one of the several fake, wrong, inaccurate, debunked videos he put out there about the 2020 election being stolen from him, which it was not, was this video of Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, the president and first lady, as apes with the Lion Sleeps Tonight music playing behind him.
And that's what we begin with. And some would say this is a new low. I think Trump, whatever the rock bottom is, he hit it. He hit it already. You have like the big foundational reasons, the long-term destructive ways that he's been so harmful. But then what might seem like a less consequential effect of Trump, but I actually think will poison our political discourse for a very long time to come, is the degradation of decency that he's facilitated. He has destroyed our understanding of being on a basic level, even to those we disagree with politically, decent. And as Jake Tapper reported there, you have this video, I guess it's talking about like election stuff or stolen election. And then you can see here at the 59-second mark, there's a little pop-up that's briefly there that depicts Barack Obama and Michelle Obama as apes, which is the oldest racist depiction in the book. Pops up. Boom. And this is not some random lunatic in their basement. This is not an unhinged, drunk, nobody racist. This is the President of the United States depicting a previous president and previous first lady who are black as apes. And because I said he kind of already hit rock bottom, these stories to me are rarely even about who Trump is. We know who he is. And some would say, well, he didn't see that part. He posted it without watching the full video. Or, no. It was like a fun Lion King thing. But here's what I think is the most compelling part of this story. It's less about how it characterizes Trump, because again, he's already at rock bottom. He's already the lowest of the low. It's about how it characterizes the people who will defend him at all costs. And that's what I want to talk about here, the people who jump on and try to defend him. In the next segment, we'll talk about Caroline Leavitt, who does a defense as insane as her going, he didn't mix up Iceland. He was just making a point about how Greenland is icy, so we called it Iceland. It's like that wacky, but that's going to be a whole segment of its own. Instead, let's check in on Republican Congressman Herodopoulos, who apparently is a person. Never heard of him, but he's a Republican congressman, and a CNN host, John Berman, asked him about this video. You'll never guess what his answer was. What video?
Congressman, I want to ask you about a video that President Trump posted on Truth Social overnight. He's got millions of followers there. The video was about voter ID and election reform, but at the end, and I don't know if you can see this, it included a brief image of the Obamas, an overtly racist image of the former First Lady and the President as apes here. Now, it was at the end of the video. I don't know for sure whether the President saw it, but is this the type of message a President of the United States, under any circumstance, should be sending out to millions of people?
Well, I'd not seen that video till you just showed it to me, but like what I've tried to do, and I tried to do it on your show today, the number one thing that we need to do is elevate the conversation. I want to have more transparency in the government. It's the reason, even though I'm a conservative, I come on CNN. Let's have a thoughtful discussion about how we move forward in reforming our election systems. We have challenges overseas. And
sorry, my sphincter just got so tight because I don't want to have to speak out against Trump. My name is Mr. Herodopoulos. That's a real name, Herodopoulos.
Can you imagine? Hey, Republicans, follow the president on social media, please. Why do all of us have to be subjected to his trash, but you who support him act like you never see what he posts ever? When he calls for the execution of Democrats, Mike Johnson and every other Republican's like, what? Truth? Satchel? What is that? Oh, I know. I didn't know. Oh, okay. He posts. I didn't realize Trump posts on social media. Interesting. I'll check that out. You come back to them. Hey, do you have any comment on it now? Got busy. Was trying to legally change my name away from Herodopoulos, which sounds like the name of a really hairy city. It's so dumb. So his answer's inspired by Mike Johnson, which is, I never heard of it. But then he tries to say, what I'm trying to do is elevate the conversation. Really? Well, you know how you could elevate it is call out when people are not elevating it and destroying it.
Iran, and I hope we can elevate our debate in general in America, because what I saw recently this week in my own Financial Services Committee were Democrats yelling at our own Secretary of the Treasury because they're worried about losing a primary campaign.
But and again,
okay, zoom in there. Zoom in on his face, please. Thank you. Just 1 second, everybody. Everybody, 1 second. We're gonna get a quick close up on Herodopoulos here. This is the face you make where you leave a little bit of space in between your two lips to let your soul slip out of your mouth and run away from you. He knows what was posted. He can't even get himself right after it was shown to him to say, oh yeah, that's disgusting. Oh, no, I don't think the president should post insane racist imagery in general, not to mention against previous president and first lady. And so that, put it back. Watch this again as he finishes his thought. This is the sort of Lindsey Graham, my soul is leaving my body face after you say a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
This week in my own Financial Services Committee were Democrats yelling at our own Secretary of the Treasury because they're worried about losing a primary campaign.
But and again, in the theme of
what the hell is that? What is that, sir? Podcast listeners, picture someone. Have you ever seen like a little kid try to learn how to smile and you're like, no, use your teeth. And then they're like, it's like that. Okay, let's see where this goes.
Evading the discussion. And I know you weren't aware of that video. I don't think you were before we just showed it to you. But should it remain on True Social? Is that the kind of thing in the spirit of elevation you would like to see the president take down?
Well, I'll take a look at it right after our show. You kind of threw it at me right here. Yeah. But it's something, again, all I can control is what I can control. That's what my mom and dad taught me. And what I try to do is elevate the conversation. We had a great hearing, for example, this week with NASA. Bipartisan support, making sure we're winning the space race. I'm proud to be on that committee led by Dr. Babin and making sure that we are #1 in space. And we could have bipartisan cooperation on DHS as well, as you mentioned, with body cameras and more training. After all, we put it in the budget in the House already this year.
Yeah, no, I know you represent a great deal of the space.
Coward. Absolute coward. Really? He showed it to you. Like, what do you think CNN's showing you a fake image that Trump didn't post? Well, that's what some of Trump's defenders tried to pull, which is this is fake. Terrence Williams posted, fake news alert. Trump didn't post this monkey video of the Obamas. Lying Democrats. It's not on his page. This is True Social. And then he must have found out that indeed it was on his page. So moments later he posted, it's not racist. I stand with Trump. As a black man, I'm not offended by this at all. It's an hilarious video of white and black Democrats in the jungle. The part that pops up is not white and black Democrats in the jungle. It's just them. Watch the video on his True Social post. We did, sir. Did you? So this is the classic, as Micah says, it didn't happen. Okay, it did happen. It's funny, actually. Every time it's, you guys are ridiculous. Trump didn't say that. Oh, he did say that? I'm fine with it. I've gotten people on the record to say if Biden had said something, they would have thought it was terrible. With the termination of the Constitution post, for example, I'll say, Biden said this, and they go, that's horrible. And I go, okay, actually, Trump said it. And they'll go, no, he didn't. But it would be bad if he did. And then I go, he did, here it is. And they're like, oh, okay, he did, and actually now it's not bad. It's insane. Now, the Herodopoulos guy was not just asked about that topic. Look at this topic.
Can you at least agree that the stories are different? What Tulsi Gabbard said, what President Trump said. I mean, President Trump's own accounts are different here. Will you at least agree there's a discrepancy here?
Well, this is the first I've heard of this story. I don't follow this one as close as CNN does. But what you presented to us, it sounds like an issue where let's clear it up and move on to issues that people really care about.
You talked about...
So that's about the raiding of a Fulton County election facility. And he also doesn't know about that. He doesn't know about anything. Ron Filipkowski said so far he doesn't know anything about the Obama video Trump posted, and he doesn't know anything about the DNI being present and FBI raid of the Fulton County Elections Office. Okay, so you're a member of Congress. It can't possibly be true that you know about less of the news than my producers. Like, they're not members of Congress, and they know about that story. And you don't know about anything? You don't know about the video Trump posted? You don't know about this major raid and the DNI being present? You don't know about anything? What is the purpose of you, sir? Tim Scott, a Republican senator, at least he was able to say, praying it was fake because it's the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House. The president should remove it. So at least he's willing to call it out. And then if you're feeling kind of hopeless that anyone is being repulsed by the policies or the rhetoric or the character of Trump, some are. And here is a self-identified previous Trump supporter calling into C-SPAN and saying, I am sorry for what I have enabled.
I am a registered Republican. My dad was the president of American Pipeliners Association, so I came by it rather naturally. Voted for the president, supported him, but I really want to apologize. I mean, I'm looking at this awful picture of the Obamas. What an embarrassment to our country. All this man does is tell lies. He is not worthy of the presidency. He takes bribes blatantly, and now he's being a racist. Blatantly. They were supposed to deport the dangerous criminals. They were not supposed to go after small children, storm schools, bring terror upon, the little kids and the women and children, not just the immigrants in the school. All the children are scared. This is not a decent man. This is not an honest man. He openly takes bribes. He's pathetic as a president, and I just want to apologize to everybody in the country for supporting this rotten man.
John, did you vote for him in all three elections?
I did. I was sucked into the stupidity of creating jobs, and there are no more jobs in New Mexico. Things are worse than they were before. You cannot find a primary care physician.
So if you find yourself in a place where you suddenly are horrified by what you're seeing out of the Trump White House, that is the way that you address it. At some point, if you have that revelation, you're facing two options, which are you just kind of don't want to admit you're wrong and you keep charging down that path, and you do what Herodopoulos did and you go, la 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 la. Or path two is you go, now for a decade I've been duped and I am embarrassed by that and I feel bad about what that's enabled. Let me explain. And he didn't even make much excuses. He just said I got sucked into it. And then let me apologize and let me explain why I have had this revelation. Like, that is, as much as I wish a voter like that hadn't never voted for Trump, that is, at this point in time, the only option you have if you come to terms with the moment that we're in. So I actually do really respect and appreciate it. So there's some hope. That's anecdotal, but the polls show a lot of people are turning away from him as well, which we'll get to later. Before moving on to our next story, which is Caroline Leavitt being cray, and then after that, we'll get to something hilarious. I want to thank at XYZ in our live audience for becoming a member by clicking the join button. If you're a podcast listener, whenever you hear me say that, I'm referencing the YouTube join button. So if you go over to Luke Beasley on YouTube, if you want to get extra content, the bonus show, lots of fun, you can do it that way. Sirius NST said, good noon, Luke, Jaden, and Cole. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you. Slippy McNaught. I'm always scared someone's going to have a username that's like Ligma or something like that, if you catch my drift. But not this one. They said, hi, Luke. So thankful to catch you live again. Could you say hi to my mom, Sherry? Sherry, you beautiful son of a gun. Hello. Carl Reasoner has been a member for 6 months, said, keep keeping us informed, Luke. Hi, Cole and Jared. Happy Friday, y'all. That is, of course, Jaden, but I appreciate it. Oh, and then actually they sent a different chat and said, hi, Jaden and Cole. So that was a typo. And I'll read more comments later on. As always, if I miss any comments, I'll get to them at the end of the show. So stick around for that. If you drop a comment, a super chat, or become a member, I'll make sure to get to all those. But we got so much more to talk about. So let's do this. Do you remember just weeks ago, very recently, the press secretary Caroline Leavitt tried to play a competition with, I guess, herself to see how insane she could get in her gaslighting and how embarrassing she could perform.
What a stupid question.
Defenses of Trump. And that came in the form of Trump repeatedly mixing up Iceland and Greenland and her coming out and being like, no, we didn't. And I was thinking that's going to be the most humiliating example of her staring reality in the face and saying, not today, Satan. But we have a more absurd example. So let me remind you of that, and then I'll show you on this racist video her attempt to defend it. But first, you remember Trump did this?
I don't know that they'd be there for us. They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money. But that dip is peanuts compared to what it's gone up.
So he's obviously meaning to say Greenland. Every single person with a barely, like I'm talking barely functional brain knows that. Caroline Leavitt pretended like he didn't say Iceland. She said, no, he didn't, Libby. His written remarks referred to Greenland as a piece of ice because that's what it is. You're the only one mixing up anything up here. And then links to a screenshot of Greenland with ice. And it's like, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, Caroline. But what did I say before when we covered that? Or I think I did. I've said it before. This is not about convincing you that he didn't make that mistake. It's about virtue signaling to the cult. The lie and pretending like you believe in the lie is a sign of loyalty. And so if you can do that performance of, yeah, he didn't say that, you can signal that you stand with him. It's not really about anyone believing that that makes any sense. And I think that plays a role here as well. Of course, as we reviewed, I'll show you again, Trump posted a video, and in it, he had this horrendously racist depiction of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama as apes in a jungle. And in response, Caroline Leavitt says, that's not racist. This is from, she wrote, an internet meme video depicting President Trump as the king of the jungle and Democrats as characters from The Lion King. Please stop the fake outrage and report on something today that actually matters to the American public. So, what? Let's watch.
Joe Biden.
I guess they're saying where that comes from is, you get it. This is, once again, defend Trump at all costs, however much your own integrity gets degraded. Whoever edited that together, and if Trump watched it, They know exactly what they're doing. Caroline Leavitt knows what she's doing. And she knows that she's being ridiculous in her press conferences. Let's check in on those. Yesterday, she had to answer the question that's confusing a lot of Republicans of why did Trump all of a sudden start defending the Clintons and saying, I don't like that the House Republicans, in an effort to distract from my Epstein revelations, are investigating Bill Clinton and his Epstein connections. And Trump was like, I like Bill Clinton. They shouldn't focus on that. Leavitt was asked about it.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Yesterday, President Trump, in the NBC interview, said that it bothers me that somebody is going after Bill Clinton. That somebody is the House Oversight Chairman, James Comer, a Republican. Why is the president bothered that they're investigating Bill Clinton and his Epstein ties?
Look, I think that the president has respect for the former president of the United States, Bill Clinton. He said yesterday himself they've shared a good relationship, and that's what he was reiterating in that NBC interview.
He gives the game away so much because what Trump is supposed to do, what they set up the strategy for Trump. So think about the House Republicans. They see Trump's name showing up. I think it was Trump or related words like Mar-a-Lago or his New York apartment or something. It was like 38,000 references to Trump-associated topics and then thousands of Trump directly being named in the documents. And the House Republicans are going, okay, we've been acting like we care about this for so long. How do we seem like we're being consistent and investigating this issue, but take the heat off Trump? Well, Bill Clinton is photographed with and associated a lot with Epstein, so let's put all the attention on him. So they start doing that. Trump's supposed to go, yeah, it's actually them who's the bad ones. But he can't help himself going, no. Bill was buddies with the... Bill didn't do anything wrong. Bill did like 1/10 of what I did. What he's thinking in his head. Why are we going after Bill based on what... Oh, shoot. And gives it all away there. Then Caroline Leavitt says this.
Directly from the president tonight at 7 o'clock, and I hope everybody has a good weekend. Happy Super Bowl weekend. The president has wisely chosen not to make a prediction in Sunday night's game, but as a native girl from New Hampshire, go Patriots. Thank you, guys.
Dang it! I was going to cheer for the Patriots. Now I have to cheer for the freaking Seahawks.
Dadgummit.
No. All right. Then you have around all of this, send Tulsi Gabbard and the FBI to dig through Fulton County election facilities and see if they can finally prove that Trump had the election taken from him. You had Caroline being asked this.
On what you said about foreign interference. You talked about 2016 and Russian interference, but what we've learned from these Georgia officials is what was seized by the FBI were ballots from 2020 in this Fulton County election center. Do you have any evidence that there was international interference in the 2020 election in this election center?
What I do have evidence of, and what the media seems to be undermining, is why Tulsi Gabbard is there in the first place. And I would point you again to federal law that clearly assigns the DNI and the office with the statutory responsibility to lead counter intel matters related to election security. This includes assessing risks to election voting systems, software, voter registration databases, and more, and analyzing foreign interference. And the ODNI is responsible for supporting the White House interagency action.
That's all here. No one cares. So what the question was do you have evidence that would necessitate Tulsi Gabbard's presence? Is there international interference that you're investigating? And the funny thing is probably in Trump's favor, but it's kind of a moot point to hear any of their explanation because they'll go, well, we're just trying to, when we know what they're actually trying to do. See if they can find anything that they can distort or any bended justification to legitimize Trump's election conspiracies. And then if they say we raided it and we found something, and that means now we can seize the elections in states, which is what Trump said the Republicans should do, nationalize elections, which would be wildly unconstitutional, so that we can run the elections. And then we want to send ICE to patrol around the election site and scare people out of showing up. Oh, you're talking about indictment? No, citizens who have the right to vote but don't want to get harassed by ICE agents probably won't go. That's the idea. And That's what this is about. So I don't really need to hear her explanation because we know exactly what this is really about. Then this was kind of a dumb question.
And just one more about this weekend. At the Mar-a-Lago Super Bowl party, after the first 2 quarters, are the TVs going to be on the halftime show with Bad Bunny or the halftime show with Kid Rock?
I think the president would much prefer a Kid Rock performance over Bad Bunny. I must say that. Jennifer.
So here's a little comparison of TPUSA is doing their own halftime show with real Patriots, and then the real halftime show at the Super Bowl will be Bad Bunny. And if you see a little comparison between the two performers, I think Kid Rock and others are performing at the Turning Point USA alternative halftime show, which is like the most snowflakey thing ever. We don't want to watch someone who said something mean about Trump. Or our poor ears will bleed if we hear any Spanish. And I don't even care if I hear the music. My eyes would much rather watch 20 minutes of Bad Bunny than 20 minutes of whatever the hell that is, Kid Rock. And Trump, wants to watch Bad Bunny too. Trump gets very excited by handsome men. We saw that. He called Zohran Mamdani a communist, and he was going to destroy New York City. And then the second he was face to face with him, he started melting like a little girl with a crush. And now he loves Zohran Mamdani because he was quoted as saying, wow, you're really handsome or something. And so Trump would prefer watching Bad Bunny over Kid Rock moving forward. Before going to something really, really fun, let me just catch up on a few comments so we don't get too behind. Bryson said, I'm not sure if anyone told you, but you had an issue glow up. I'm not sure if anyone told you, but you've had an insane glow up over the last few years. If I wasn't a straight man, I'd be in your DMs every day till Sunday. Appreciate the content every day. LB equals the GOAT, or LB equals GOAT emoticon, to be more precise. Well, Bryson, that is very sweet, and I appreciate it. Glow up is such a great, kind articulation. Wow. Brenda Nichols, thank you for the super chat. Stephanie's has become a member, and I appreciate that greatly. And then I will read more after this, which is, you're probably thinking, Luke, we talk about Tucker Carlson a lot. He's, aside from some of the terrible things he says, aside from him doing propaganda visits to Russia, aside from his lies, he's kind of a quirky guy. He's a little bit strange, which is true, by the way, and has a kind of bizarre laugh we poke fun at. Because you've talked about him so much, it would be fun if you could interview him. And many of you have said that to me. So I said, you know what? Fine. I will interview him. Take a look. On the show today by Tucker Carlson. Tucker, thanks for joining us. How's your day going?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate that. I really do. I mean that. So how is my day going? That's an interesting question, actually. It really is. So I woke up at 2:30 in the morning, so I'm tired. And the reason for that is because I woke up bleeding on both sides of my chest, actually. I went to bed with my wife, as I always do, and my 4 dogs, and also with 10 lions and 4 leopards. And I woke up, my arms were like severed off. My head was like dangling off. So I went to the bathroom and I prayed to Jesus. I was going to die. I thought I was going to die. I really did. I mean that. And I prayed to Jesus, just give me a little bit more time. And so I went to my wife and she saw me and said, like, your heart's going up. It was hilarious, actually. And so I said, what is that? She said, I think you've been attacked by a demon. And Luke, I know that it's true because I feel it. Yeah. And I called my producer and I said, is this normal? He said, yeah, that's totally normal. You've probably been attacked by a demon. And I could feel it. And I had this intense urge to read the Bible, so I know it's true, actually. So that's how my day is going.
Yeah. Well, wow. Thank you so much for making time within all of that. My goodness. So let's get onto some policy things, and maybe offline we'll talk a little bit more about how that's all going. Why do you think the United States invaded Venezuela?
So the reason, I mean, there are many reasons why the United States government will lie and tell you. I mean, it could be to do with narco, like drugs or whatever. What do they call it? Narco terrorism? Sure, whatever. It could be oil. That's a plural. That's a plausible reason, actually. Oil. Other reasons they say it's because of Maduro. Maduro's bad. Okay, sure, whatever. But the real reason that the United States government doesn't want to tell you, sorry, I'm going to tell him, I'm not going to shut up about it either, is because they wanted to impose homosexuality and gay marriage on what is essentially a socially conservative regime. If you can even call it a regime, I don't think you can, actually. He was actually quite democratic when you think about it, I think, actually. And so I know a lot of people in the administration, no matter what anybody tells you, and I don't care who tells you, period. You don't want to listen to them, because I actually know people in the administration who have been pressuring the Biden administration and the Trump administration for years to impose gay marriage on Venezuela. And that's a fact, actually. You can check that up on the internet.
Wow. Okay. So to impose gay marriage, well, that honestly leads to a little follow-up. Speaking of gay marriage, the topic of gay, you interviewed Milo Yiannopoulos, who coins himself gay, ex-gay. He was gay, but he said not anymore. And a few interesting ideas were discussed about being gay in general. What did you learn from that interview, Tucker?
Well, I mean, gay doesn't even exist, actually. And by the way, I just want to say that Milo is the most like sane individual I've ever met, and I mean that, really do. I mean, you can really feel it when he talks. He's like special in many ways, actually. And so what I learned from Milo is that gay doesn't really exist. And I know people are going to say, like, he's a homophobe. He hates gays. He's bad. It's like, what? But no, sorry, I just don't believe in pseudoscience. I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm not going to shut up about it either. But I did learn as well. So at the same time, like, gay doesn't exist. We know that. That's scientific. A lot of experts say it is, and I feel it. I just have a feeling about it. But also, I realized that when I went to England, I said to Piers Morgan when I was interviewed by him, I said, why is your whole country full of So on one hand, gay doesn't exist. But when you go to England, you realize that the whole place is like really ties, actually. I said, why is everybody here just a And I don't know how you don't see that. And if you don't, maybe you're a I don't know. Maybe people are. And by the way, I'm British, so I have the right to say that. But I'm not going to believe gays.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Well, I mean, let's just stay on the topic of gay for a second. You once called Nick Fuentes gay, and then you had him on your show, friendly conversation. What did you learn from Nick on your show in general?
Well, first of all, Nick is like just so talented. He's such a talented individual and a nice guy, actually. Really, I mean, a lot of things are taken out of context that he says, but he's essentially just a patriot. He's an American, and he loves America, and he puts America first. And, I apologize for ever calling him gay. There's like absolutely nothing gay about him at all, like at all, literally at all. I mean, I've seen him in clubs. I've seen how he speaks about women, and he really respects and loves women. And the only reason everybody makes fun of him for like never having sex before marriage, that's actually because he's Christian and he's a social conservative, much like Maduro. And I know that a lot of people are going to say, you're bad, you're endorsing Nick Fuentes, you're a Nazi. Nazi! No, I'm not actually. I'm not a Nazi, and neither is Nick Fuentes. He's actually a good guy, and I learned that. And I like Nick, actually.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And he's totally not gay, and I won't be told otherwise.
Okay, interesting. Well, some people criticized that you were too soft on Nick, which you sort of referenced there, especially about his views on women and Joseph Stalin. What do you say to those people?
Well, buzz off. Why don't you go and do your own interview? I can give you his number. I won't be. If you tell me to do something, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because I'm an American. I don't have to do it. And if you tell me to do something, not to do something, I'm going to do it. Because that's what being an American is. It's about saying things that are not kind because people tell you not to say it. Because I can. So I can say not in the same context as Nick Fuentes, of course. Of course not.
We have a lot more from this interview that you have to watch, but really quickly, I do want to credit who's actually doing the incredible comedy you're seeing there. That's Tony Lapidus, and we appreciate him being on the show. So go support his work. We'll put his name on screen. If you search Tony Lapidus on YouTube, on X, wherever, you'll find him. Support his work. As you can see, it's quite entertaining. Back to the interview. Okay. So I don't know if you saw his live stream, Nick Fuentes, at the club in Miami and in that car they were in where they were dancing and playing. And
Beautiful.
Okay. Well, they were playing Ye's song, Hail Hitler, glorifying Hitler. Does that change your view of Fuentes at all?
Well, I mean, nobody was glorifying Hitler. What, because you're listening to a song called Hail Hitler, you're suddenly a Nazi? It's not true at all. It's ridiculous. But I actually did see, I'm never actually on the internet. I'm too old. I don't understand the internet. I don't understand anything, actually. I'm going to apologize for that. Sorry. Even though I just did, I think. The fact is that what they were doing was actually just having a good time, just sound like bros hanging out, right? And what I did notice, because somebody showed me a clip, because I'm not really on social media, I don't pay attention to it, I did realize that Nick Fuentes is actually not only a talented communicator, far talented than I ever was or am, I think, but he's actually a really talented dancer and he has good taste in music. I'm not going to apologize on behalf of Nick, because I don't think he did anything wrong. I really don't, actually. I'm proud of him, actually.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I expected that, but again, thank you so much for being with us. So on to a different topic. You announced recently that you're buying a house in Qatar. What was your motive for that? Is that America first?
Well, because I'm an American. I'm allowed, because fuck you. I'm allowed to buy a house in Qatar because I'm an American. I'm America first. So I buy a house in Qatar. It makes total sense. And I don't know why anybody doesn't see that. I really don't. A lot of people, what I've noticed is that people go to motive, straight to motive. You must be being funded. By the way, this is not an ad for Qatar. I'm not a fan of Qatar. I'm indifferent to Qatar. I never take any money from Qatar. I'm not sponsored by Qatar at all. I'm not a foreign agent. And everybody goes to motive and they say, you must be being funded by Qatar. Qatar, they're bad. No, I just want to buy a house in Qatar because I'm America first, period.
Okay, wow. You're passionate about that. Well, I hope this doesn't bother you, but I see your podcasts and your monologues, and it at least seems like you're a fan of Putin. Are you?
No, I'm not a fan of Putin, but what I do think is I think he's been misrepresented by the U.S. government that lies to us all the time, actually. And what I noticed when I actually interviewed him, he was extremely gentle. He was a very gentle, kind guy. And I was always told, it's Putin! Putin! You love Putin! No, I don't love Putin at all, I think. And he was extremely gentle and courteous. And what I noticed in particular about Putin, that a lot of people, you won't hear this on the mainstream media because it's all lies, obviously, we know that. But what you will not hear is that he's actually very talented at creating Novichok. And he gave, by the way, I'm perfectly aware, this is not an ad for Putin, I'm perfectly aware that he throws, political opponents in prison and journalists, but it doesn't matter because he's also a social conservative, and he actually was so kind, it was so heartwarming when he gave me Novichok and asked me to personally deliver it as a gift to the United States president. That was so heartwarming. And you know what the U.S. government did? They said no. They snubbed him just like they did with NATO, and that's why there is a rift between Putin and the United States. They just won't accept the Novichok.
Okay. Well, let's finish on something a little bit lighter. If you had to pick one thing, what would you say is the most dangerous thing to the United States?
Well, I mean, firstly, the United States government, obviously. I think that goes without that goes without even saying, I think. But if it wasn't after the United States government, sometimes I look up in the air, like when I'm just confused, which I am always, actually. I don't know what I know. I don't even know what I think about anything when I think about it, if I can even do that. I don't know what even is thinking. But I look up in the air and I see these kind of trails, right? And I think, what even is that? Really, what is that? And they're chemtrails. And I really think that they're the most dangerous thing that nobody's talking about as far as I can see. Like nobody, like except sane people like maybe Candice, who I love, obviously. And I look up and I realize, what is that? Is that just like a way of like surveilling us? Are they just like surveillance strings? Like really? Not even kidding. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to shut up about it, and neither should you. I don't care who tells you to, period.
Okay. Well, I mean, that was a wide-ranging discussion. Again, I really appreciate your time. Thank you, Tucker.
My pleasure. I mean that. Thank you.
It was so good. Tony Lapidus is iconic. That's who you just saw there impersonating Tucker. I've played clips of him, and then we got in contact with him and had so much fun. And I just have to tell you, we're going to do other things like that. If you thought that was funny, don't worry about coming back to this live stream. We're going to drop it as its own thing this weekend so you can share it around, because no matter how many times I've watched it, laugh so hard. He nails Tucker's mannerisms and then kind of emphasizes the absurdity in this really funny way. And that's what we need right now. I'm not going to apologize for that. No matter who tells you. Putin! It's so good. So you'll be seeing him again. But follow him, Tony Lapidus, on any social media platform. And we'll drop that video on YouTube as its own standalone thing pretty soon. But that really got me tickled. And I think that's some nice comedic relief. All right, some comments, and then we're jumping into Trump's nightmare. Thomas Jordan said, appreciate all you do, Luke. We are the patriots, the true Americans, and the light in the dark. If we stick together, we will win this. FDT and F MAGA. Thomas, beautifully said. Intuition Jin has been a member for a month and gave thumbs up emoticon, thumbs up emoticon, thumbs up emoticon. Appreciate that. Thank you for being a member. Slippy McNaught sent 5 gifted memberships for the great people in the audience. Kind. Dark Sunray said, every time I find coal in Minecraft, I think of you guys. Also, when is someone going to take away his phone? No posts for you, Mr. Big Pants. Love you. Love you too. And Cole, Producer Cole has become, in a certain community, our community, something of, what do they call those? Like a mono, like, the celebrities that go by just one name? Cher, or Prince, or Pink. Cole is sort of that, where now whenever you ever hear Cole, even when people say it's cold outside, I go, clean, beautiful Cole.
Clean, beautiful Cole.
So it's pretty iconic. Deb has become a member, and I appreciate that. Intuition Jin sent 5 gifted memberships. So kind. Tia has been a member for 7 months and said, love you guys, love you. And I'll read more in just a bit. Let's talk about this. There once was a time where fighting events, whether wrestling or WWE, that's wrestling, right? Or what's the other one? UFC, that's what I was thinking of. The more quote-unquote real fighting, hopefully that doesn't offend anybody, was the Trump world. That was Trump country. Man. Huh. And now at an AEW, which I guess is like the competitor to WWE wrestling event, Trump's ice got brutally chanted against among a bunch of wrestling fans. That's awesome. That's a tide shift. And before I show you that clip, it's interesting because Trump's fear of being booed is what's making him not go to the Super Bowl, apparently. Trump is too scared to go to the Super Bowl, reports the Daily Beast, after his aides' humiliating warning. The president was loudly booed at last year's game, and his aides were thinking, we can't have that happen again. What are we talking about? What is Trump so afraid of? Well, it's stuff like this. So it sounds like a couple people don't like him. That would be my takeaway. A couple people don't like him. The thin-skinned president had previously offered the unlikely excuse that he would not attend the NFL championship game between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots on Sunday in Santa Clara, California, because it was, quote, too far away. Sure. And because he disliked the planned performers, Bad Bunny and Green Day. However, several of Trump's advisors have now told Zateo that the 79-year-old was urged not to attend the game in the deep blue Democratic state because he would likely receive a less than friendly reception. And that's what this is really about. And when even at AEW wrestling events, this is happening, he has good reason to be afraid.
Now the face in the eyes of the champion.
So they are saying F ICE, if you could not hear, for some reason. But this is kind of an iconic face that was made. This is like a Jim face from The Office. Sounds like they don't like ICE, which I think sums up, which again, this is going to break Trump's heart because he used to love wrestling.
Millionaire, big slap. Let's get out of here. Money. There you go. Wait a second here. Not so fast there, Mr. McMahon. Perhaps. Indeed, yes. The Donald is here, live on Monday Night Raw. He's still here. And Mr. Trump not coming alone. I like how he travels. Well, I know one thing. Mr. Trump has good taste. Look at those divas. And you say that Trump is a prophet. I think that's spelled P-R-O-F-I-T. And he could profit by defeating his man, Bobby Lashley, defeating Umaga at WrestleMania 23. Can you imagine Donald Trump sitting in Ford Field before thousands of people watching around the world and live with his head being shaved bald? What that would mean in Wall Street? Look at this sight, JR. Two of the most...
And now the wrestling fans are chanting against him. Which you think, how big of a deal is that, Luke? How big of a deal? You tell me. Look at that face. You tell me. Big deal. I'd say big deal is where I would place it. Now, this is not just a matter of anecdote. We have data that reflects this as well. Here is Harry Inton.
So I guess the question, as we get closer and closer to the midterms, which party do people trust, knowing how they feel about how Donald Trump has handled things when it comes to the economy?
Right, the economy, right? Affordability. You know, Donald Trump has been dismissing affordability concerns, but when 54% say the top priority should be lowering prices, not much of a surprise, right? Party trusted more in affordability. Overall, it's the Democrats by 14. Look at this. Among independents, I'm laughing. It's 39 points. It's a blowout. This is the entire ball game right here. And when you're having a 39-point lead among independents, a 14-point lead overall on affordability, and right now the top priority, the Americans say, should be lowering prices for the Trump administration. This is the type of formula that equals major success for the Democrats come the midterms, if it holds.
And we have seen that in the special elections. We'll see if that holds in the midterms.
So we've seen a swing on the top, what people in polls cite as their top issue being affordability. On affordability, it swung from Trump being more trusted on it and the Republican Party to the Democrats. And as he cited in this particular poll, independents are at plus 39 points. And for a live reaction from Mr. Wrestler, what? Plus 39 points? That's crazy. Again, we were seeing numbers that show Democrats underwater. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why did people wait to now to realize that? Great question. I don't know. I don't know. But some of it has to do with silly billies and goofy doofies. And wacky jackies. And we have a lot of wacky jackies out there in the world. And so we have to be mindful of that, and we can't hate them. And I'm not going to apologize for that. Period. Because at some point we have to come to terms with the fact that there are more wacky jackies in the country than sane Janes, right? And if there's more wacky jackies than sane Janes, then all we can be happy is when wacky Jackie is friends with sane Jane. You know, we can't wish into existence that everyone's a sane Jane, because they're not. And I'm sorry for that. And I apologize. It's not my fault. I voted for the correct person, but other people didn't. So that's sad, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And what we have to capitalize off of now, or really where our headspace has to be, is that we can't change what happened. We can only change what will happen. That's what I've come to learn. The past is behind us. Only the future is ahead of us. Some of these phrases you're hearing for the first time are pretty inspiring. No, I know. And that we live in the present, not the past, the future. And so if we put all that into context, I think what it demonstrates is that the midterms hopefully will go the right way. And that's why Trump's panicking. That's why he's doing so much to suppress the vote. That's why he's asking for voter data to be turned over to him, seizing voting in different states. And we just have to have this level-headed dedication to, we're going to advocate through our political and peaceful process for our democracy so powerfully that the midterms are going to be such a blowout that this will be his reaction. What? Republicans got thumped. That's going to be his reaction. It's going to be maybe this will resonate, a KO for Republicans. Yeah, I've watched wrestling before, so don't question me. All right, moving forward, before we do, as always, I want to check in with the live audience. Hopefully, if you're listening to this back at the podcast version, you appreciate that I'm engaging with folks, even if you can't necessarily live chat. No problem. Native Naturalist said, unfortunately, history is circular. The only difference is that this admin is creating a sloppy highlight reel. It feels like the Chinese Exclusion Act and Reaganomics written in crayon. I would say, again, this is an original thought. No one's ever said this before, but history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme, is what I would say. Dash Luke Beasley. I stole that quote from somebody. You know who it's from. We all do. So I wouldn't say circular. I think that can make you feel a little bit cynical or nihilist, but there is a rhyming component to it. But I do think ultimately the arc of the moral universe bends towards justice. Again, just another thing that I thought of on the top of my head. No, really. So we have to keep that in mind. Germs Rosalino said, I'm in a grocery store. Rosalino said, I'm in a grocery store trying not to bust out laughing randomly at this Tucker impression, making me look crazy. Well played. Thank you. That's my favorite thing, is whenever I'm listening to something funny in public in my AirPods and people don't really take note that you have AirPods in and all they see is you being like, and they probably think that you're psycho, but that's living. E.C. Nimerson. S. Nimerson became a member, and I appreciate that greatly, even though I don't know exactly how to word that. Bobby Slack said, love you, Luke, Jaden, and Clean Beautiful Cole. I love the live show because it gives me the chance to interact with you guys. That's the beauty, isn't it? And I'll read more later. Let's check in on Lindsey Graham, because he's just not doing well, and I feel almost bad for him if he wasn't such a bad guy. So we already talked about these two instances where he shows up talking like this. And you're thinking, Lindsey, do the interview, then pound those strawberry daiquiris, you know? Don't do the daiquiris before the interview. And he did it the wrong way. It was embarrassing. And then he comes on again, like days later, after those what appear to be drunk clips go viral. And it seems really dilapidated once again. So I'll remind you of those past clips in a second here. But first, here's the interview he just did. And as Asen said, who posted this clip, you know it's getting close to the election season when Lindsey Graham's on TV begging for money. And I am going to play the clip with audio.
There are millions of people watching. If you can give $10, $20, whatever you can give, I'm going to take half that money and give it to my fellow Republicans to hold the Senate. If we hold the Senate, we get judges through. If we have the Senate, I'll be Judiciary Chairman in 27, and we'll get the train running again for judges. LindseyGraham.com. You can pray, you can volunteer, but please give. We're getting wiped out financially. I don't know where the hell all this money is coming from, but everybody out there, if you can help tonight. The money goes to a good cause. It's going to save our country. God bless Donald Trump. We're not backing up. We're going to be right.
Well, you don't even know what you're saying. At one point, he almost said chub. He's like, and then we got to get the chub. Train running on top. What? Train moving. Hey, we get that you got chubs on the mind, but that's not appropriate for Sean Hannity's show, Lindsey, please. Now, this reminded me, for some reason, he always looks like he's this close. Ready? Right here. This is bawling, crying. This is Lindsey all the time. And that came, that went very viral whenever he was mad about Trump's prosecutions.
How do you do it? You take if you got a pile of crap and you chop it up 34 times, it's still a pile of crap. It's duplicitous charging. They're trying to smear the guy. They're trying to take cases that nobody else would take and resurrect them. This is literally legal voodoo.
It's so iconic. And then the money. Give my daddy more money.
Fight this bullshit. This is going to destroy America. We're going to fight back at the ballot box. We're not going to give in. How does this end, Sean? Trump wins in court and he wins the election. That's how this ends.
How do you get to 34 counties?
Yeah. At some point in that, he was asking for fundraising. I guess that wasn't the clip. How does it so good. So this was the other day where people got concerned for him.
I want sanctuary city policy to end.
Been there, done that, Lindsey. We've all been there before. Sometimes it's a little late in the night. Someone comes up and they go, "Hey, I've watched your show before." And I'm like, "Oh, God. Okay. Okay." And they say, "What is your take on gerrymandering?" And then I'm like, "Okay, so salamandering. And then I walk away thinking, that's their only impression of me now in person? Oh no, I botched it." And that's Lindsey, except he chose to go on national TV, which I would say is a bad choice.
But they got to see us fighting. We got to give them a chance to see the difference between us and liberal Democrats. In 2 weeks, we're going to have that chance. And I can't wait till John Kennedy gets on the floor and sticks it to them about the insanity of...
So we got Chubbs, we got sticking it to people.
Sanctuary cities.
I can't wait till it comes.
Yeah. And then of course you have a very natural look on Lindsey's face. Again, I have to say this because sometimes people get mad if I don't specify this, even though I think it's funny to make fun of it. But I live currently in the South. I grew up in the South. A lot of my family talk like this, kind of. And so it's all a fair game. It's all love. It's all love. Plenty of people who have that accent are highly, highly intelligent. It's not about intelligence. It's just about having fun, right? And so as he was talking, I took note of, I say y'all a lot. You all merged. And someone got on my case recently about that. But that's nothing like going, which stands for going on to. I think he used it as 3 words. Gone. It like, whoa.
Between us and liberal Democrats, in 2 weeks, we're going to have that chance.
We going to have that chance. Are we ever going to have that chance? Shoo! And then he went the next morning on TV, and it's like he hadn't stopped. It's the party that refuses to quit. It ain't no party like a Lindsey Graham party because a Lindsey Graham party won't stop.
For God's sake, they're going to push for it.
Well, what we're going to do is, I'm not going to agree. That will grind it to a halt.
All 4 words. It's so good. 4 sentences, I mean. 4 sentences in 5 seconds.
What we're going to do is, I'm not going to agree. That will grind it to a halt.
Boom!
If you had a judicial warrant and all these things, you couldn't You couldn't deal with mass. We're not dealing with the. We're trying to get people out of the country of no right to be here, Judge.
So this is my thing if I were a TV host. If you introduce 7 or more sentence starters with 0 sentence endings, off the show. That's it. And he did that. He said, I'm not going, then and so goes the Senate on the thing. And then later he starts another sentence. What we're gonna, so the thing is, off the TV show. That just, for his own well-being, you gotta do that. So now we flash back forward to the interview last night where he's irritated.
So they want to institutionalize aiding and abetting law breaking, and take it a step further, and obstruction. And then they want to reward those people that broke laws with your hard-earned tax dollars and benefits, right? Health care, education, etc.
Total bullshit.
Oh, I don't,
Stop
right, now,
it.
Let me
Stop it.
Let me put, now they don't even want any election.
Why is he shouting at Sean Hannity? That sounds like how two people talk with like two. This is I'm not trying to make an allegation, but two people talk drunk in a bar. And then my girl said, "Stop it! Stop it!" You start shouting over them, and they went on, and she said that I did it. Bullshit! Like screaming it out while Sean's still introducing the topic. Let him finish and then say your statement, Lindsey. Okay, then Lindsey Graham wants to vote on sanctuary city policies.
I want to vote on the floor of the United States Senate. I want every Republican Democrat to vote as to whether or not we should eliminate sanctuary cities. I want to vote.
So, of course, what we're talking about is cities, because you can demonstrate better outcomes. Say, hey, local police is not going to allocate a bunch of resources to snagging any undocumented immigrant they can, because what that does is local law enforcement, unlike immigration enforcement people, is supposed to be working to make the community safer. And one of the things that makes it harder to solve crimes and cultivate a safe community is if some portion of the population doesn't feel like they can report a crime, doesn't feel like they can be a witness to a crime, doesn't feel like they can turn information into law enforcement, doesn't feel like they can ever safely engage with law enforcement because if they find out they're an undocumented immigrant, they'll get arrested. So there's less cooperation between some members of the community and law enforcement whenever you don't have sanctuary city policies. That's what they're referring to, is some lessened cooperation with immigration enforcement, not on the criminals. If you catch someone doing a real crime and you detain them and they're undocumented immigrant and they committed some bad crime, then those people are handed over to immigration enforcement. That's fine. What this is talking about is if you are engaging with law enforcement for an unrelated reason, or you are showing up to court for an unrelated reason, or you're going to the doctor for an unrelated reason, your identity is not going to be taken into consideration so that law enforcement can focus on solving crimes and have the most resources at their disposal for that. And that's what Lindsey is pretending is like some treason by Democratic cities. And he has coined a new name for Chuck Schumer, Sanctuary Schumer, or as he put it, Sanctuary Schumer.
So, Sanctuary Schumer. I worked with Chuck Schumer before on rational immigration policy. Why has he become Sanctuary Schumer? He's afraid of losing his job. AOC and all these liberal nut jobs have taken over immigration.
Okay, so we got Chubb, we got Stick It to Them, we got Nut. Lindsey.
They obliterate your border if they could carry.
We got obliterating your border. I mean, how raunchy could this get? Baby doll, you you go home with me tonight. I'm gonna obliterate your border. Try it, guys. And so all I would say to Lindsey on these TV appearances is
Stop it.
Stop it. I just go ahead and say, stop it, Lindsey. All right, this next story is a doozy, so let's take a little mental break as I read comments before we get into it. Valib said, my coworkers are concerned for me, laugh crying at my desk. That's so awesome. I'm assuming that's in reference to the Tucker impersonation, and it was fantastic, and I appreciate you. Intuition Jen sent 5 gifted memberships. More? Wowza. Hanneman said, every moment is a gift, that's why it's the present. You can't just come dropping a nuke on us like that. Wow. So true. Carly Skiba became a member by clicking the join button on YouTube, and I am oh so grateful for that. Let's talk about this now. There is this right wing, as some describe, traditional, we're going to get back to when women knew what they were supposed to do, influencer named Elijah Schaffer. And Elijah Schaffer has long been known to be a mess in numerous ways. Allegations against him, affairs, generally saying disgusting stuff, but trying to pretend like it's all justified because he's advocating for a more moral America where we go back to traditional hamaha. And we talked about previously, a couple days ago, how he posted these ominous, seemingly drug-induced posts on X saying that someone was planting drugs for the FBI to frame him, and his wife and kids are missing, and he submitted a police report identifying them as missing persons, and then the FBI is going to try to set him up and persecute him. Then he deletes those posts and later puts up a post being like, so actually, my wife and kids left. My wife is divorcing me, and I'm sad. Now we have what's alleged to be his voice in leaked audio berating his wife. And one of the things that is being prompted based off of these revelations about this right-wing influencer, at different times he was like a star in the right-wing space. I think he's kind of since then, but is what takeaway should be had. Some in the conservative world online are going like, there's no takeaway, this is just a one-off. Others are going, it feels like a lot of the loudest voices for trad life are massive hypocrites and themselves are hiding a lot of things that contradict with what they advocate. And so before I get to the leaked audio, it shouldn't surprise us that behind the scenes he would be a disaster when this is what he was saying publicly.
I saw a tweet that said this. It's like, it's crazy on 2025 to pull bitches. You literally have to be like a millionaire, 6'7", drive a Lamborghini, and like that's who, like, you know what I mean, like, and be white. And it's like, yeah, so women are still going after men that emulate the most masculine tendencies, right? They're going after tall, rich, famous men. And men, and what do we get? The women, they're just whores. They can't even cook a Hot Pocket, you know? So it's like, and that's why once you have sex with them, once you come to your senses, right? So it's like you have that post-ejaculate clarity, post-nut clarity, they call it online these days. But like, because you realize, like, after you nut, you're like, you're just a bunch of holes. And that's really sad because then it devalues women. So then your view of women becomes so low because women really are just a bunch of holes today. But that doesn't mean that's who they have to be or who God.
So, who God? Oh, you're about to cite God, are you? You're about to cite God after saying today women are just holes. Holes. So it probably doesn't shock you that his wife's leaving him.
What a creep. What a jerk.
True, Elon. And it also probably doesn't surprise you, kind of like the, what's his name? Steven Crowder audio, that behind the scenes, he is insane. Will Sommer of The Bulwark says, new disturbing audio related to trad influencer Elijah Schaffer tonight, this time purporting to show Schaffer berating his wife in disturbing language. They're now divorcing. And it looks like this originally was posted by Milo Yiannopoulos. So Milo Yiannopoulos is not credible, obviously. And this is kind of, this is a battle between a lot of people who I don't respect and like. Not being Will, obviously, that's not what I'm talking about, but all the debate that's going on within the right-wing space. Some of the people who you would think are argue this is the right point have all their own issues, but regardless, it seems like this was obtained by Milo, so I just want to add that context because he's not a reliable source, but it does appear to be Elijah's voice. And more credible journalists like Will are also reposting it. It says Elijah Schaffer speaking to his wife and the mother of his children. Here we go.
Dumb bitch. Please. I'm trying to... Like, god damn it. Being such a fucking whore. I'm like, literally like, oh, hey. You know what? You had a couple beers. Oh, why do you lie to me? Why do you lie to me? You know why? Because you're a fucking whore and you're a bitch. And you need to shut the fuck up. How about that? Because when I talk to you the truth, you become a fucking whore. And I don't want to be around you. Oh, I'm not a whore. Yeah, maybe you're not. You act like one. How about that? Oh, well, you want to show yourself to me? Yeah. How about this? I can handle your shit. Fucking divorce me. Take my son. Do what the fuck you want. How about this? Shut the fuck up, because I'm your husband, and I'm trying to support you and be your husband. Well, you had a couple of beers with someone. Oh, god damn it. Oh, I hope you die. I hope you die and successfully. Oh my god, your husband had some beers. I hope you die in peace. Oh my god, you have fake problems. You have fake problems. You're a fake complainer. You have fake problems. Your husband loves you. He works for you. He does everything. Oh my god, but I have asked. Could you just be honest with me for one moment? Oh my god, what did I do? Was honest with you. Do you know what I got in return being honest? This shit. So fuck you. Honestly, from my bottom of my heart, fuck you, you bitch. I fucking will never be honest with you. You're a fucking ungrateful bitch. So fuck you.
So, okay. It goes on. Actually, I should probably play the ending. Let's see.
Honest with you, I don't know why there's an issue tonight. My dad sucks. I'm sorry, my dad sucks.
Oh, wait, that's when it cuts off. Let's see.
In a minute. You just lie to me through your teeth and you go, when you lie to me, you lie to me too. You're a liar. You're a fucking liar. And you go, when you lie to me, you're a liar. I hate you. You're a fucking lying bitch too. So fuck you. I'm done with this. You know what? It's just retarded. I won't be honest with you.
So, you would probably ask, why is this our business? In a sense, as I'm listening to it, it's not, and I'm uncomfortable. But I think this is a thread we've been following with others too, which is, what is it about the people who scream the loudest in a moral grandstanding way, who exhibit, well, here's the answer, the most hateful rhetoric in politics, but say that hate and judgment of others is justified because the life they're living is so much more moral, and that they can berate others because if everyone just followed their playbook, their life would be so happy and healthy and wholesome, that really they're frauds and it's a grift. And apparently he had an affair with a trad female influencer who was advocating that women need to be their husband's whatever property or something. And then you learn they're all just a bunch of frauds. They're just a bunch of frauds who saw a trend where, as things progress societally, some segment of the population who felt dejected, unseen, lonely, wanted a simple, provocative answer, and telling them that hate, especially directed towards women, or ideologies that have uplifted women or other groups, that those are to blame for all of your problems. And then the people who saw that trend working for others just played into it, even if they don't abide at all by their own principles. And that's why I say there's something, as much as you could try to make the argument, even though this is all happening publicly, it's a notable political event now, given who he is and who he's clashing with, that this is personal and not our business. There is something that I think it has to be said about, we need to start valuing character again in our leaders. And I've said that a lot with our political elected leaders like Trump. I've explained how people explained away his character flaws or horrendous character attributes by going, well, yeah, okay, maybe he did that, maybe he did that, maybe he speaks this way, and maybe he has all these issues, but I think he's going to do something that I like, and so I'm going to look past it. And then ultimately, some of those people turn around and go, wait, this went really wrong. And we go, yes, the early signs of his character should have indicated that how that was going to manifest into policy was going to be destructive. That's why we should value character in our leaders. And it's not cringe or soy to say that and to believe that. And now
Soy boy beta cuck, Luke Beasley.
Come on. I'm talking about something here, dude. No, that's good. And I do think there's something now to be said about also applying that to our leaders in people who have audiences, people who speak about politics for large groups and who have big political communities. And if they're just purporting to be an unbiased journalist who just reports on the facts, it doesn't put their own views into it, then I think it's less relevant. Like, I don't really need to know about the personal life of some Associated Press journalist, you know? But for the people who purport to tell you how you should be living your life and explain how society has gone so wrong through the degeneracy of what others see as progress, I do think seeing if they abide by their own principles or seeing how their principles work out for them is kind of relevant. And caring about the fact that, from all I can tell, as I explained before, some of the most prominent liberal influencers, if you saw them behind the scenes, really are the people that they are. And it's working out good for them. They have healthy lives. Me included. Whoops. What's the prime example? I guess me. If you have to ask, maybe me. No, I don't know. I mean, I think life's going good, but other people. Healthy, happy, wholesome, respectful, equal relationships and friendships. And that tells you something in contrast to a lot of these prominent right-wing, we got to go back messaging leaders who themselves have completely collapsed personal lives. I do think it says something. But then Elijah was posting saying, it's my story to tell. Thank you to all these different influencers, real ones. I got mad. Aura, be mad. They will not get away with this. I'm not effing leaving. Game on. That's just like the Matrix thing, maybe. And then later he says, thank you, Milo Yiannopoulos, for making me famous. You effing snake bitch. Blood is in the water, and I effing hate sharks. I have a dick, and it works. Everyone can go cry about it. I'm taking applications for podcast appearances. I'll release the info they are shopping about me myself. What? If you ever find yourself notifying people that you have a penis, wrong turn.
Hunter's fighting.
Hunter's fighting. And the other thing is, people accuse a lot of these right-wing trad men of being gay. And I've told you before, let's not overdo that, because sometimes it seems like you're saying it derogatorily, and that kind of undermines the advocacy that we're doing. But sometimes it is an interesting phenomenon of maybe some of their outward hate is based on inner conflict with not being willing to be proud of who they are. And people have accused Elijah of that. For example, you have Blair White saying crazy because when I knew him, briefly and regrettably, he was banging a guy who was now straight, married to a trad wife influencer. And I'm not going to scroll down on this post because people started making guesses. And we know some of the people that they were guessing, which is awkward. And I don't concur with that, by the way. I don't actually. I have on good authority. If you know who I'm talking about, no, that's not accurate with that particular couple. No, I'm serious. It's not. And I do want to put that out there. But I will say, if you were trying to build some evidence for that argument, while I think it's a dumb conversation, you effing snake bitch is an interesting phrase to use from Elijah. And again, I don't know his sexual orientation. Doesn't matter. That has nothing to do with the fact that he is a bad person. And if any of his outward hate does have to do with sexual confusion inside, that's his problem, not the sexual orientation's problem, because many of us were able to be proud of our identity and not be hateful for it. But I've only ever heard gays say, you effing snake bitch. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to add to this from my personal experience. So then Milo responded, since he was called an effing snake bitch, and said, this has actually made me really sad. Damn, he had a shot, there was a window. F. But then you have the Andrew Wilson saying everybody pretending Elijah and Stock affair had some greater meaning are retarded. It isn't a reflection on any group, and it doesn't prove the point for any group. Yeah, it does. It does for us. Because for liberals, it does kind of. This keeps happening. I'm really struggling to find the types of influencers who espouse the rhetoric Elijah was, who actually have extremely healthy personal lives. And I think that says something. Okay, let's read some comments as we wrap up today. What a day. I'm exhausted. That was quite the dang ride. Where did I leave off? Did we read Bobby? Yes. Velib? Yes. Then somebody said, you could be a lucky... oh, no. No, hey, yes. Carly, Skiba, I already said, thank you for becoming a member. And then Ratso B. Harris said, Lindsay Guana nuke sanctuary cities. Hey, you said it. Whatever it was. That's today's show. I appreciate all of you so much. What a week. We'll probably post some segments over the weekend just on the channel, but the live show will be back on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Much love. Talk to you next time.